All right, look, not everything is a conspiracy, okay? Sometimes fiber optics are just, fiber optics.
Right.
We like fast internet. People like streaming movies without buffering. That's all it is.
Oh, thank you, Professor Broadband. Why don't you tell me more about how Netflix really cares about my viewing experience? You really think they laid 88 million miles of glowing space spaghetti so you could rewatch Tiger King in 4K?
It's called progress, genius,
Progress?
infrastructure.
Please.
The future is digital.
That's what they said about cigarettes in the 50s. Doctor approved. Next thing you know, everyone's hacking up lungs. Fast forward, and now it's doctor approved holographics. Jesus beaming into your brain.
That literally doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah,
man.
and neither does you still paying for cable, Grandpa.
I don't pay for cable.
Sure you don't, and I suppose Elon Musk isn't slipping satellites into orbit every Tuesday like they're Hot Pockets in the toaster oven?
Yeah, it's called Starlink. It's for internet in rural areas, dude.
Rural areas? Yeah, okay. Like Grandma's cornfield really needs Wi-Fi so she can live stream her cows taking a dump. Please, those satellites are just practice runs for Project Bluebeam.
Oh
You'll
my
see.
god, dude. You're exhausted.
Good, that means it's working. Now sit down, shut up, and watch the skies with me. The show's about to start.
Right, okay. Welcome to the Witch Show.
No,
What?
no.
Dude, what?
No.
What are you doing?
Shut
Dude,
up.
stop interrupting me. My god, dude. Ugh. Welcome to the Witch
Welcome
Show.
to
We're
the
smart
Witch
and
Show.
stupid and some other sense and you have to. Oh my god, dude, I hate you.
Poor little guy. I'm Conspiracy Georgie. Welcome to the Witch Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Witch Show, from what I think seriously to you.
W.I.T.S. The Witch Show.
Cool story, bro.
Welcome back to the Witch Show. I'm so glad to have you guys back. It's a big one for us today, number 10. I've been waiting for this one because I think it ties together a lot of the threads that we've been pulling together in a lot of the past episodes. Tonight, this one, well, it's called Wires in the Sky for a reason. And if you've been paying attention, you already know what direction I'm going in. Project Bluebeam. The conspiracy that the powers that be want to fake an alien invasion, or the second coming of Christ, or both, and their goal is to consolidate total control. But instead of starting with the skies, I wanted to start with underground, with the glowing veins of fiber optics being pumped into the dirt under our feet. If you're going to build a stage that's going to be seen by the whole planet, you need to wire the audience first. Look at the numbers, and they're insane. By 2025, nearly 88 million homes in the US had fiber available. AT&T alone laid 60,000 miles in a single year. That's enough to wrap the Earth more than twice. Oh, and globally, there are over 5 billion kilometers of fiber cable laid, and a lot of it is what they call dark fiber. Dark fiber means it's already installed, but it's sitting dormant, waiting to be lit. And here's the question nobody asks. Why so much? So fast? Especially in rural areas where people can't even afford it. Are we really supposed to believe it's a charity? You're telling me that corporate America and the government suddenly woke up one morning and decided, you know what? Let's give Grandma's cornfields blazing fast internet so she can stream cow videos in 8K. Yeah, no, that's not how this game works. If history has taught us anything, MKUltra, Unit 731, Tuskegee, it's that when the government rolls out something massive, fast, and suspiciously generous, there's always another motive. There's always a catch. And really think about it. Fiber isn't just the internet. It's the nervous system of whatever they're building above us. And once you've got veins laid under the ground, you look up, and there it is. Musk filling the skies with satellites. Tens of thousands of them, creating this net around Earth. They call it Starlink. They sell it as internet for everyone. But step back and ask yourself, what does it look like when thousands of synchronized satellites are orbiting the planet, all linked to that fiber nervous system? To me, it looks like a holographic projector the size of Earth. You don't need a secret base in the desert anymore. The projector is already in orbit. And then, add Tesla to the mix. Cars that are basically batteries on wheels, always online even when the grid goes down. Nodes, receivers. Think of them less like cars and more like pieces of the network. Add SpaceX, launching rocket after rocket, payloads nobody checks under the excuse of satellites. Could they be slipping up pieces of Bluebeam infrastructure, one launch at a time, until the puzzle's complete? And then you remember Trump rolling out Space Force, and everyone laughed. But what if Musk needed clearance to put those payloads up there? What if Space Force wasn't a joke, but the quiet green light for a bigger project? And now, you have to wonder, what's the deal between Musk and the government powers? Is it trade? Space access for eternal influence? Imagine Trump's face projected across the sky, commanding loyalty long after he's gone. Far-fetched, maybe. But is it any crazier than the fact that Space Force is real? Satellites are multiplying, and the whole thing looks suspiciously like a scaffolding for a show. Now, you can't talk about billionaires without mentioning Bezos. The man owns Amazon, sure, but more importantly, he owns AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. Now, stick with me here. Half the internet runs on it, right? Netflix streams on AWS. The CIA stores data on AWS. If Project Bluebeam needs processing power to generate the illusion, massive, personalized, real-time holograms for billions of people, Bezos already controls the server. That means Musk may have the projectors, but Bezos has the cloud. And if Bluebeam is a performance, you can't have the show without the script. And you can't process the script without the server. So, maybe it isn't a Musk versus Bezos game. Maybe it's both of them fighting over who gets to play God, while the real architect, 3i/Atlas, the invisible contractors, sit in the shadows pulling the strings. Maybe the billionaires are just pawns, stringing wires for a stage they don't even fully understand. Now let's talk surveillance. We've all felt it. You mentioned something out loud, just talking to a friend, no typing, no searching, nothing like that, and suddenly there's ads. Not just generic ads, but exactly the thing that you mentioned. Socks, a mattress, for example, specific type of coffee, a trip you whispered about but never told anyone, and the next day your feed is full of it. Everyone says, oh, that's just the algorithm. But what if it's more than that? What if that's the beta test? Just training wheels for a system that already seeds thoughts into your head. If they can make you want socks, what happens when they make you want salvation? What happens when the ad isn't for dog food, but it's for God in the sky? And here's the scariest version of Bluebeam. Not one unified illusion, but personalized salvation. Your neighbor sees Jesus, the guy across the street sees Muhammad, you see your dead father and your lost child. The system knows you because it's already mapped you, your fears, your desire, your history. It beams the perfect illusion directly to you. Nobody argues because everyone's got their own miracle. That's not just Bluebeam, that's Bluebeam 2.0. And this is where I want to stitch in the newest piece of the tech that blew my mind. Time mirrors. Scientists have literally managed to create a kind of mirror in time. Instead of reflecting waves back into space like a normal mirror, these setups reflect waves backwards in time, collapsing signals so they replay as if rewinding reality. Right now, it's just controlled lab experiments, but think about the implications. If they can reflect a signal backwards, what's to stop them from replaying an entire staged event? You could see something in the sky that never actually happened in the present. It's being bounced back to you from a manipulated signal in time. Imagine them staging miracles not just in the skies, but in your timeline. You think you remember it, you think you lived it, but maybe it was just a broadcast backwards into your past. That's not just holograms, that's reality editing. And if you tie that into Bluebeam, the whole thing shifts from control of the sky to control of history itself. So here's the unified picture. 3i/Atlas writes the code, fiber optics are the veins, satellites are the projectors, Musk plays the sky broker, Bezos fuels the servers, Trump and Space Force give clearance, and behind them all, the quiet labs pushing tech like time mirrors that could let them replay illusions until they sink into our memories like they were always there. And us? Well, we're not the audience. We're the test subjects. The ads that know too much, the phones that buzz with no notifications, the coincidences on our feeds, that's rehearsal. That's the warm-up act. And maybe, just maybe, it's already running. Maybe every time your phone lights up for no reason, that's the system tugging the strings. Every time your feed shows you something you only whispered about, that's the network practicing. Every time the night sky ripples with satellites, that's scaffolding going up for opening night. Because one day, maybe soon, the curtains will rise. And the skies will split. Maybe it'll be aliens. Maybe it'll be gods. Maybe it'll be something stranger. But one thing's for certain. You'll see it. You'll hear the voice, not because it's divine, not because it's external, but because the network already rehearsed you to believe. Oh, and here's the real kicker. It might not matter whether it's true or not because belief doesn't come from the truth. It comes from repetition, from rehearsal, from suggestion. And if they've got fiber in the ground, satellites in the sky, servers humming in the background, and even time mirrors bouncing reality itself back into your head, then belief isn't yours anymore. It belongs to them. And the deeper you look, the stranger it gets. That's the rule of, conspiracies. The more facts you gather, the more questions outnumber the answers, and maybe that's the design. It's not about clarity, it's about drowning you in so many threads that you can't tell where the story ends and the nightmare begins. I know we started with fiber optics, but let's upgrade the conversation to submarine internet cables. These are just buried underground. They stretch across the ocean floor like glowing spiderwebs connecting the continents. Over 400 cables carry 99% of the world's data. Think about that. All of our secrets, financial transactions, medical records, late night searches, every podcast like this one, they all ride through vulnerable physical wires at the bottom of the sea. And there are actually maps that you can find online that show where these cables are. But guess who else has those maps? Governments, militaries, hackers. If you wanted to choke the world, silence the web. You don't need bombs, you just need bolt cutters and a submarine. Funny how fragile the cloud really is when the truth is it's chained to the seabed. Now let's dig into the Five Eyes Alliance. Heard of it? That's the intelligence sharing agreement between the US and the UK and Canada and Australia and New Zealand. Sounds harmless, right? Allies helping each other. But it also means surveillance collected in one country can be legally shared with another. Yeah, skirting domestic spying laws. In other words, if America can't spy on you at home, they let the UK do it. Then hand the info back with a wink. Bet you didn't know that. Edward Snowden cracked this one wide open. Prims, X-Keycore, Tempora, systems designed to record basically everything. They laughed when the people warned them about, total surveillance. They're not laughing now, are they? Oh, and since we're talking Snowden, let's mention his revolution against the Utah Data Center, the NSA's crown jewel, a facility so massive it uses millions of gallons of water a day just to cool its servers. Why? Because it's designed to store the entire internet. Not a slice, not a chunk, the whole thing. Every email, every call, every Google search. If you think I'm exaggerating, check the numbers. The center is said to hold up to, it's called a yottabyte of data. That's trillions of terabytes, enough to record humanity's digital history for generations. So when you wonder if they heard you, stop wondering, bro. They definitely heard you. But history always finds a way of rhyming. Let's swing back to Operation Paperclip. Nazi scientists, engineers, doctors, rebranded, given clean slates, folded into NASA, the military, medicine. Wernher von Braun, the rocket genius who built V-2 missiles for Hitler, became the father of American space travel. We cheer his Saturn rockets and forget the slave labor camps that built his weapons. Now here's the disturbing part. What if Operation Paperclip wasn't about forgiveness, it was about absorption? Taking the darkest minds and giving them unlimited funding, unchecked power, and new laboratories? What projects were really born in those quiet corridors under the American flag? Have you ever heard of DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency? Officially, DARPA gave us GPS, the internet, and drones. But they also worked on mind-machine interfaces, synthetic biology, even controlling insects as surveillance devices. Picture that, a dragonfly with a camera in its eye landing on your window. They call it innovation. I call it cybernetic evolution on a leash. And if you believe DARPA hasn't tested those concepts beyond the lab, you have not been paying attention. Now let's twist reality a little further with Project Bluebeam. Governments have developed technology to project realistic holograms into the sky. The supposed goal, a staged second coming, an alien invasion, or a unified miracle designed to bring humanity under one global authority. Oh, that's too wild? Well, consider this. In 2015, China projected a massive hologram of a city skyline in the clouds. In 2020, Japan floated holographic whales over a crowd, and military patents exist for holographic decoys to fool radars and human eyes alike. Technology catches up to conspiracies quicker than you think. But let's get biological. CRISPR gene editing. They tell us it's about curing diseases or fixing broken DNA. But in 2018, a Chinese scientist announced that he had edited the genes of twin girls to make them resistant to HIV. Yeah, that's right. You heard it right. They're resistant to HIV. Oh, and the scientific community panicked, not because it wasn't possible, but because it was already being done. What if CRISPR isn't just about healing, but about designing humans? Stronger, faster, more obedient? A generation engineered not questioning, but performing? Think about how governments used soldiers in the chemical tests, radiation tests, and MKUltra doses. Now imagine those same governments designing soldiers from scratch. Speaking of soldiers, let's whisper about Project Chatter, Project Bluebird, and Project Artichoke, the forerunners of MKUltra. Before LSD experiments, they were already drugging soldiers, prisoners, psychiatric patients, trying to erase memories, implant false ones, control wills. Techniques refined over decades. Today, we call it enhanced interrogation. Tomorrow, it might be perfect persuasion. Maybe that influencer you're following online isn't just charismatic. They're engineered. It would definitely explain how they're so good at picking the algorithm for TikTok. Oh, and since you like unsettling facts, let's talk about the Montauk Project. Yeah, we've covered this one before. The old legend says it was about time travel, interdimensional portals, even contact with beings not from here. A boy named Al Bielek claimed he was teleported from Montauk back to the Philadelphia experiments itself, living decades in two timelines. Is it a myth? Maybe. But in 2018, the government admitted there really was an Air Force radar station in Montauk, used for classified research. How hard is it to hide one project inside of another? You give the public a harmless cover story, and behind locked doors, you run the real tests. And finally, let's darken the room with Unit 731. I know, I've covered these in past episodes, so if you're just catching up, this is kind of what I do. But stay with me, I promise there's a catch. Japanese scientists during World War II carried out experiments so horrific they barely sound real. Vivisection without anesthesia, frostbite test, plague bombs. At the end of the war, instead of being executed, many of these men were granted immunity by the United States of America in exchange for their research. The data was considered too valuable to lose, which means somewhere in our files, the blueprints for weaponized plagues still sits, filed under national security or something, I don't know. Science doesn't just vanish. It gets recycled, especially in the United States, as we've seen, of course. Do you feel it yet? The crawl in the back of your neck? That little voice asking how much of this is rumor and how much of this is real? That's the point. They don't need to silence every truth, just blur the lines between the facts and fictions, and make it so thorough that you stop asking questions. And that's the real conspiracy. Confusion as control. So, here we are, at the end of episode 10. We've walked through glowing veins under the ocean into the hidden labs of Paperclip and Unit 731. Stared at time mirrors and holograms in the sky, and felt the cold hum of machines designed to watch, to shape, and maybe even replace us. If you've made it this far, then you're not just a listener. You're someone who refuses to look away, and that's rare. Most people hear fractions of this and laugh it off. They go back to scrolling, back to sleep. But you're still here. You stayed with me through this whole descent. Maybe that's the biggest truth of all. The system of control don't need everyone. They only need enough to keep the machine running. The rest of us, we're anomalies. Ghosts in their code. That's why shows like this matter. Because each episode isn't just a story. It's a spark. And if enough sparks catch, the dark doesn't look so invincible anymore. So take this with you. Don't just listen. Watch. Don't just scroll. Notice. Don't just consume. Question. Because the moment you stop asking questions, you're no longer living. You're being lived. And with that, we close the book on episode 10 of The W.I.T.S Show. 10 episodes deep, and the rabbit hole only gets darker from here. Thank you for riding the waves with me, for keeping your mind sharp, and for letting me whisper a little paranoia into your night. Or day, whenever you choose to listen to this. If you've enjoyed this journey, share it, rate it, and spread it. Because the more people thinking for themselves, the harder it is for the web to keep us tangled. Make sure you remember to comment something crazy. If it's good enough, I'll feature it in my next episode like always. And until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and never stop wondering what's hiding in plain sight. Remember, you're not paranoid, you're just paying attention. My name's Georgie, and I'm thinking out loud so you don't have to.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the W.I.T.S Show, from what I think seriously to you.
W.I.T.S